What's up, everybody? This is Tom Lang, Director of Original Content for Warchant.com and Warchant TV. Today's feature is a one-on-one with our own Jeff Cameron and Defensive Coordinator of Florida State Football, Adam Fuller. Before we get going, remember, everybody, to hit that thumbs up button right underneath this video. It helps us find more FSU fans who are looking for great Seminoles coverage ahead of spring football. And for yourself, hit the subscribe button and the bell right next to it. This way, you'll never miss anything we bring you at Warchant TV. When you log on to the YouTube app or head to youtube.com, our content will be right there waiting on you. We really appreciate your support. So today on the Jeff Cameron Show, the 28th of February, 2022, Adam Fuller stopped by for a long-form chat with our own Jeff Cameron to get the latest on what's going on with the FSU defense ahead of spring practice. Here's their talk.
Good to see you again. How are you?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, it occurs to me, because I'm bald and you're bald, it's probably good that we're both bald with the up and down nature of last season where it starts rocky, then it's good at the end. We don't have hair to pull out. It's a good thing.
Okay, so this is going to be a hair talk. Got it.
No, it's not going to be a hair talk. I'm just joking with you. The year started so weird, and then by the end, you had to be really pleased with what you had on defense. It was just a kind of up and down season where in the beginning of the season, it was frustrating. And then by the end of the season, you saw a lot of guys working together and just seeming to have a better understanding. I would imagine as that propels you to the offseason, you're pretty excited to find out what you got as you go into spring.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I don't think when we finished the season, we weren't where we wanted to be as a team. But, you know, I was definitely excited about the steps that we took on defense and, you know, just the way we were playing. You know, were we perfect? No, but I did like the buy-in. I did like the execution collectively. And, you know, we played better team defense as the year went on. And I had a good sense of knowing what we were going to get day in and day out. And so it's exciting to have most of these guys back for sure.
What clicked in your estimation, Coach, as we talk about that second half of the season? There were times where your unit was downright dominating. I mean, against some good teams too. So if we go back to the beginning of the season where that's not the case and we get to that midway point and what a lot of people thought was going to be the most difficult aspect of the schedule, when you know, before the season began, you never really can tell, but you looked at those groups of teams and you thought, man, Florida State's going to have to win some games early because it's going to get real tough late. But that's where you guys shined. You were really good in the second half of the season. What clicked?
You know, I just think there were a lot of things that improved. And you know, the mindset day to day, from a Sunday to Tuesday to a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday preparation, the standard got raised, you know, and one of our best players were definitely our hardest workers. You know, I mean, it came down, you know, there were Friday practices where, you know, it would be 8:30 in the morning and Jermaine would be chasing a scout quarterback down the sideline, or we had Fabian Lovett and Jarvis Brownlee converging on the ball, you know, on a typical Friday morning before, you know, game day. So I just think the mindset definitely improved. And then we kind of identified what we were as the season went on and got guys in positions where they played consistently together. We were trying to keep it as streamlined as possible with what we were calling and how we were playing in situations. So I think that helped the guys play fast. They became really comfortable playing with each other and, you know, developed some confidence as it went on. And I think that started to show.
Coach, when I think about the start of spring and I look at your defense as the whole, let's start in the defensive backfield where obviously you have some newcomers that people are excited about, and Sam McCall and Azaria Thomas and Greedy Vance comes over. But you also have a ton of guys with a lot of experience who began to emerge. I know folks get really excited for good reason about a Kevin Noles, or of course we saw Akeem Dent, and Shaheem Brown's a guy I'm excited to watch, Marion Cooper. You have a lot of versatility, a lot of ways that you can work this. Talk about that secondary group and how you see this playing out in spring.
Yeah, I think they probably had the most growth as the season went on from a position group. I think part of the reason you saw that is because, you know, by the end of the year, you know, we had two freshmen playing a significant role in Kevin Knowles and Duke Cooper, you know, but you know, we've got 10 DBs that have played a significant amount of football, and you need it in this league. I mean, we played over 150 snaps of 6 DBs at a time. So, you know, there's 5 DBs out there, I'd say over 500 snaps in the season and 6 over 150 snaps. So, you know, in our league, you got to make sure that you've got depth but quality. And I think what happened last year, from Louisville on, is we locked into a rotation, especially at safety, where the communication and the playing with each other and off of each other really becomes a premium. So, I think when Kevin was able to take over that nickel role, we were able to move Jamie Robinson to safety full time. It really developed some consistency. Akeem Dent started to play better football. Jarquez McClellan, we call him Pack, really developed a role in our sub defense. And then we've got some other guys that have played a lot of football back there, and Sidney Williams, Shaheem at safety is somebody we're really counting on. Love the way he's taken the steps since the season ended. And then at corner, Jarvis really improved. Brownlee played better from the middle to the end of the season, and somebody that we rely on being somebody that we can really count on in one-on-one situations, but also in run game. And then, we've got a bunch of returning corners. Like I said, we got 10 DBs that have played a good amount, and we'll need them all, But I think when we started to really develop the consistency, not only from a communication, but just playing with each other, especially at safety, that really tied together a lot of things that we were doing and really helped us take those steps to limit big plays and, to start to pick the ball off. I think we had interceptions in maybe the last 6 or 7 games of the season last year. So it really started to pick up, and, excited because we're getting, everybody that's played for us in the back end is back, and we've added some additions. And as important as adding the additions is you're getting guys like Shaheem and Kevin Noles, and Duke, guys that even played a lot, they're going through a full off season. So, really like the direction we're heading in the back end.
I'm curious, Coach, you brought up the Louisville game. I remember thinking after that game, I think they found something. I think there's something there. And you specifically brought that up. Did you feel that way at the time? Did you note it at the time that you thought, okay, there's clearly something that is clicking with these guys? They were so much more aggressive coming up in the run. Everything about from that game forward seemed to indicate or portend a better play. Did you know it in that moment, despite the bitterness of a loss? Did you know walking off the field, okay, I think we got something here?
Well, in the second half of that game, I mean, you can watch, just from the sideline, the energy that they played with. I mean, we were all, the way that season started, that wasn't how you drew it up. And, the first half of the game for sure, not how you drew it up. And, I think, just our guys, they were working hard. They were putting a lot of work. But when you're down big at home, I mean, that's a feeling that you can't really put away. And I think we responded, not well enough. We couldn't finish it, but I think that really got our guys trying to understand, what the standard was and what we were trying to get done. We all want results. And, I think our guys got frustrated, and instead of making the frustration, point fingers, they really kind of united a little bit more. And I think we started to come together as a football team and program. Not that we weren't before, but, you don't want to say we were result driven at that point, but, sitting there at 0-4, there were a lot of guys that had to make decisions. And I think a lot of those decisions really unified our football program. And we started to push. And, I think, in the second half of that game, we really started to get into we cut down the reps as far as who was playing, and, especially at safety. And I think that started to quantify as the season went on, because a lot of those guys started playing together in a little bit more of a rhythm. And I think it started to pay off.
Coach, I want to ask you, because somebody in our chat here watching the show as we film it, I thought had a good question. So I'll relay it to you, and then the rest will be from me. But Briley said he would love to hear what specific metrics, empirical measures of defensive performance that you use and you'll be analyzing to judge growth of individual position groups in the defense as a whole. And I know you guys use a lot of them, so that's why I asked his question, because I remember talking to you before last season and came away from that having learned a lot from talking to you. So I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day when, before analytics came out, I think we've always used them, in developing, whether it's metrics, whether it's, numbers that quantify success and all those things. I think it's all important. It's just been a lot more publicized now. But, we try and we teach our guys what success looks like situationally and down in distances. And so when you practice against the offense in the spring, there's fundamentals that we're trying to work. There's coverages and pressures we're trying to work, but just so they can understand what winning football looks like situationally, whether it's, wins on regular down distance, whether it's wins on second and long. Third downs are pretty easy, right? You either you stop them or you don't. And then the fourth down football's, pretty self-explanatory. But I would say, to answer the question, some of the metric stuff that we get into, or some of the numbers that we get into that quantify, are, run game success, pass pressures, which just isn't sacks. I think it's just affecting the quarterback in ways that we try to teach. We do something in the off season that we call it, when we do have meeting times, we have things that we call run basics, pass basics, pass rush basics, where we teach the whole defense on what it looks like to have success, in each one of those three phases. So, we are working numbers, whether it's red zone numbers, third down numbers, or just regular down distance, second and long numbers, all those things are things that we try to give those guys numbers to judge what success looks like, in each one of those situations.
How relieved, Coach, were you to regain, if you will, the services of Big Coop and Fabian Lovett? Obviously, that's a starting place where you're solid up the middle right off the bat. That was good news for all Noles everywhere to hear they were coming back.
Yeah, it was great news. We try to, as the season starts to wind down, it's human nature because it's on the player's mind, and you try to stay as locked into the week as you can. But, I think, like a guy like Robert Cooper, I think he's come a real long ways, and I think he's got a chance to have a really special year. Really excited about that he's coming back. And then, Fabian, who I think was probably one of our most improved players on defense, or our whole football team last year, to have both their leadership, but also their work ethic. And anybody can watch film 2 years ago to last year and see the improvement they made, and to put them in the middle of our defense, was a big deal. It's going to solidify our run defense. And obviously I think they both, are probably undervalued as pass rushers. I think Fabian made an impact, but even Coop, I think he understands, how he fits in the defense, and, his impact is definitely felt. And, they're both moving really well here as we go into spring football.
Curious, Coach, behind them, and I'll get to what everybody's going to want me to talk to you about, which is obviously Jermaine Johnson, Keir Thomas moving on. But I thought Melvin Ray at the end of last year, Jarrett Jackson, I know there's high hopes for Joshua Farmer. Talk about a little bit of the depth that we have at defensive tackle.
Yeah, last year, Fabian Coop played a significant role. Jarrett Jackson, who I think he's got an extremely high ceiling. He was banged up with injuries a little bit last year, but when he did play, definitely you could feel his presence. He's he's a very talented inside player. Malcolm Ray, really came out of not nowhere. He's always been talented, but it just clicked. I think at defensive tackle, especially, it's hard to judge where you think somebody will be as a freshman and even as a sophomore. Just because it's such a physical position, the development in the weight room, the development of technique and practice, it's definitely a position that by their third year, that's when you really judge what type of football player they'll be. I think when you get something out of a true freshman or even a redshirt freshman at that position, I think you're very fortunate. It's just such a physically mature position that, so to see Malcolm have the success he did, I think that really highlights what his career is going to end up being here at Florida State. Joshua Farmer, we played him in 3 games last year. We wanted to redshirt him. We were able to, and he's up to 300 pounds. He's somebody we identified when we first got here as somebody that is prototypical to play defensive tackle for us. And he's checked all the boxes. Now it's just about going out there and showing all the work he's put in. So I think if you add those guys, those are 5 guys that can really help us. And then we've got the incoming freshman, Daniel Lyons, Bishop Thomas. we'll see where TJ Davis is at, and then the flexibility that Dennis Briggs will bring us too. I think that gives you a little bit of a group inside that we can count on.
Yeah, Coach, Dennis Briggs was having a great season. He gets hurt. You're kicking him to the outside, I guess it looks like, or you're going to have the versatility of what he can do inside and outside. I had a chance last week to talk to Jared Verse. Everybody really excited about him as well. Obviously, he's a kid who everybody was going after across the country. Florida State wins his services. I guess talk about having to replace the two studs. Obviously, everybody knows what Jermaine Johnson did. That was an unbelievable season. We wish him well in the NFL. And Garrett Thomas, too, was really, really good. Talk about those edges.
Well, anytime you can kind of give a plan and then put the work in to execute the plan and then see it work, I mean, that's all part of what we're trying to get done here. And, we identified last year at this time, a year ago, both Jermaine and Kier, and, studied their tape, got a chance to meet them, coach them, put a plan together for them. And they both, they had great seasons here and will forever be Seminoles. They played extremely hard, and you can count on them. And they both had great years. And, proud of everything that they got done here, and, looking forward to seeing what they do in the future with their careers. Had a chance to go down the Senior Bowl and support Jermaine in that week of practice, and just super excited for him and Kier and what they were able to bring. And, I think they raised the standard, on defense and in that D-line room. That was part of what we challenged them with. And, yes, they had statistics, but what they brought to this program, I think, was really important on the field and off the field. Their leadership, how they went through their business, and how they treated each other and how they treated their teammates. They brought a lot. And, just leaving, there's some stats that have to be filled, but there's some leadership that they definitely left behind for some of the younger players and guys like Fabian and Derek McClendon and Coop to pick up and move forward. So, appreciative of what they brought to us, and will always be in their corner. And there's never anything that I'll always be a phone call away for both of them. I thought they brought a lot to us. And, so we had to go out. We knew, listen, we signed 3 freshman defensive ends 2 years ago, in Patrick Payton, Byron Turner, and George Wilson. And, they all redshirted, and I think they've all got a chance to be really good players. So we knew we still, it's hard to rely on redshirt freshmen. So, at that position, Derek McClendon was really the third, and I thought he had a very productive year, and he's had a great offseason, and he's going to get an opportunity to really take his game to the next level. Quayshawn Fuller was the fourth, so he's got to continue to develop. We brought Leonard Warner back, which – he had an injury last year, so we really never got to use him, but he'll be put into that mix. And then we did feel like with the 3 redshirt freshmen and what we had coming back, we did want to go out and find the right fit. And I think Jared's one of them. He plays extremely hard. And it was really good being able to go and recruit him, to be able to show him, and listen, he's going to be different Jermaine. He's going to be different than Kier. He's going to be different than DMAC, different than the other guys. But, be able to show him how he's going to be utilized in our front here at Florida State. I think that was part of the lure for him. And, it was important to us to bring one more piece in. And, I think he checked a lot of boxes, and, he's been a great addition here for the last month and a half during workouts. So, it's definitely, we've got the numbers back up. We've got a group of defensive ends here in the program that we're excited about, but there's going to be a lot of work to be done in order for us to get that position playing the way it needs to be played. But it'll be a group effort, and including those interior defensive linemen and whatever we've got to do with the rush with the linebackers. But, I think we've got a good group, and looking forward to getting to work with them here this week.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to ask you about the linebackers. You have a ton of production coming back. Plus, you brought a really productive linebacker in. I'm curious about that bunch. In the remaining minute and a half here, Coach, I got to let you go. I want you to be able to go on with your day. But that's a group that got a ton of experience, and you brought in a lot of experience. So it may be different how Florida State tries to get pressure on the quarterback. You could do it with the front 4 last year. You may have to be more versatile this year. Maybe you disagree with me. I don't know. But your thoughts on that group?
Yeah, well, good observation by you, but listen, we've got that whole linebacker group's coming back. Kalen Deloche took a lot of steps. Amari Gaynor took steps. DJ Lundy, I'm sure Steven Dix will rebound himself and put himself in a position, and then we went out and got Tatum, Bethune, and I think, that's a group that they're super consistent, and, we had good production. I don't think we played super clean, but I think we definitely got better at that spot. And, with adding some of the younger guys and Omar Graham, I think it's a group that, I'm excited to see where that group goes, the leadership, and the comfortability. That's a position too, at safety and backer in our defense. Now we're going into year 3 of it, and a lot of these guys have played. And so now it's about refining skills and sharpening things and just taking the next step in our game. So, I think, I am excited about that group, and I think we've got a good chance to take the next step to be able to play really good defense.
Appreciate your candor as always, Coach, and your time. Thanks for being generous with it. Be well, good sir. I'll see you soon. We'll be talking here at the luncheon in a few days. Be good.
See you, Jeff. Thanks, bud.